Hi everyone, it's Benjamin Crudwig, and I am bringing you episode 11 of Seeds of Creativity today. And in this episode, I have a slightly different background. This is the better setup right now. I do want to change that a little bit in the future, but I have this setup here right now, and I wanted to get this video made and talk about stuff with you. I was kind of having a late start today, so I figured let's do it this way, and we will move on. So first of all, I want to say thank you to everyone who's been watching these episodes. It's something that really means a lot to me in the fact that I get to share what I know, what I've experienced, and some things that have helped me. I get to share that with you, and I hope and I know in some cases that this has actually helped some people in getting stuff done or feeling better about themselves, about their creativity. It's it's really, really heartwarming to know that this has helped some people. I couldn't be prouder of everyone who's been able to take what I've been teaching them and put it into practice and in good use. So I just want to say thank you all so much for watching and supporting the channel. That, being said, please, if you are new here, consider subscribing. I'm inches away from 7,000 subscribers, which is nuts to me. But also, hit the notification bell to get notified every time I upload, because YouTube really screwed with creators with the whole, letting people know that you've actually uploaded. What can you do? You gotta play the game, right? In this episode of Seeds of Creativity, I wanted to discuss something that kind of goes in hand with last week's episode on vulnerability. This one is a little bit different, and it kind of goes in hand with burnout as well. So it's like a mix between burnout and vulnerability brought me this topic. The other day, I was taking a walk in Los Angeles, and it's been a while since I've really taken really long walks since I've moved out here, due to coronavirus and quarantine and just the general malaise of moving. So I took a walk, and it gave me a lot of time to think and ponder. And this topic popped up into my head, thinking about life and thinking about what I've been through over the last few months. And I realized something that we all need to think about and be aware of is counterbalance. What do I mean by counterbalance? So I don't necessarily mean balance of balancing two things on one hand. What I mean about counterbalance is taking two opposites and making sure that you balance those things. The thing that brought this up for me was the thought of all of the things that we go through as individuals, the negativity, the pain, the suffering, that really helps us to see the counterbalance in the good in the world and the beauty in the world. And without that suffering, without that pain, we don't really appreciate the goodness and the light in the world. So what I was thinking about was, how do we use this as artists? Right? What is it about counterbalance that we need to be aware of? Well, for me, it's being able to take criticism and then being able to take that criticism from one side and really appreciate the good things about your art, or by being able to use that criticism to make your art better. You can take those depths and bring them out into the light. As artists, I think a lot of amazing work comes out of pain and comes out of suffering and comes out of that darkness. We're able to dive deep and just really pull those experiences out, human experiences, and bring them into a medium that works for people, that they can look at, associate with, and connect with. And it helps, in my opinion, it helps with healing. You can heal people by bringing that counterbalance into your work. Now, why this is connected to vulnerability is because you have to be vulnerable within yourself. to go in and really plunge into the depths of your soul and into your experience to then bring it out into the light and bring it out into the world. And that is a very difficult task. And it's a very scary task, and it's very personal. However, I think in a way, it is our duty as artists to do that. You know, that's part of what we are here for. We are here to shed light on those things that society tends to try to gloss over, you know, especially capitalist society just glosses over anything that may be a little bit bad or really bad. They try to put a positive spin on it. You know, I'm not saying that as artists we're going to make beauty out of painful situations. It might be very dark, intense artwork and performances. However, there is beauty in that darkness. And if we can't get down into that, it's shallow. It's very, very shallow. Other thoughts on counterbalance that I have are making sure that you are taking in and experiencing many different points of view in the world and counterbalancing them with each other. You know, so instead of living in a bubble, living in an echo chamber of the same thoughts, the same ideas, the same points of view, I think it's really, really important to listen to one another, especially if you disagree, and approach somebody, not necessarily like literally, but approach their ideas and thoughts with an open mind, you know, even if you disagree, especially if you disagree. And then counterbalance that with your own thoughts. You know, really put your thoughts and ideas and opinions through the rigorous task of counterbalancing them with somebody else's opinions. You know, if you come out of it with, no, I feel pretty convinced that my point of view is the right one, that's great. You learned something then. But you might also change your mind every now and again. And you might realize, oh wow, my point of view was very limiting to what I'm doing, what I'm working on right now. And so it's important to be able to bring that in and open your world through counterbalance. Now, I started the series right when the quarantine started. I thought that what a perfect time for us to go inward and to think about stuff as, you know, at first it was like a business thing. I was like, wow, what if we can really take this time to work on our businesses and fix our companies and work on our creative life? And then it transformed into kind of more of a spiritual thing and a psychological thing. And I'm okay with that because now we've gotten to this point where during this, it's what, almost been 3.5 months of being stuck inside, to reflect and to look inward and see what it is that we need to work on and what we need to explore. And as a world as a whole and as a country as a whole, it's become very connective and very divisive at the same time. And I believe that this divisiveness is natural. I think it's painful, and I think there's a lot of it that's wrong, but it's also highlighting the things that we need to change as individuals, as a system, as a complete world, right? As a community on a local level. And this pain, this suffering, is going to then allow us to look at the light, to look at the positive things that can come out of this if we work hard and really are vulnerable and work on looking inward at that darkness. We can't move forward in our creative lives, in our social lives, in our personal lives, in our business lives, without really having that vulnerability to go inward and to focus on the things that aren't pretty, on the things that are downright, dark sometimes. It's important that we acknowledge those parts of ourselves and those parts of our systems to then be able to come out and extract the good from that. And I think this is a good point to bring up at this point is frequently I've been called Pollyanna-ish with this kind of mindset. And I'm not overly optimistic. In fact, I can be a very pessimistic and very realistic person. But I think if you're not a little bit optimistic about the forward movement of the future, then you're going to be stuck in a rut of being stuck in the past. For me, optimism is not about thinking that the world is wonderful and it's great and let's all look at it through rose-colored glasses. Optimism is hope. Optimism is looking forward, So I believe with Counterbalance, it's not about being all chipper, oh gee, look at this like dark situation and I'm gonna make it fantastic. No, it's about taking what you've learned and using it to make change in your life and make change in your creative world. Every single episode of Seeds of Creativity is looking at a topic in particular that you might struggle with and being vulnerable with yourself and going inward and diving into those depths to then pull out something that you can learn from to get that sense of forward momentum. And I do think that there is some optimism in there. There's also a lot of pain and intense suffering that you might have to go through in order to move forward. It's very tough, it's extremely tough to do that. What I would mention, too, is this goes many different ways. I think that sometimes we can live in the dark place, and sometimes we can live in the light place. And I think it's important to go the other direction every now and again. For so many of us, especially creatives, we can tend to live in the dark place. And we think we have just delved so deep into the darkest parts of our soul, and that's where we live. And that's what we're going to do. What I would suggest is to try finding the positives in things, try finding the beauty in things, taking a walk and not just looking at the grunge and the dinginess, but finding the beauty within that grunge and the dinginess. Life is complicated. Life is messy. And life is neither good nor bad. It's everything all the time. It's everything going on without a break all the freaking time. And I think it's up to us to be able to extend our minds past, one point of view and really work on broadening our horizons and broadening the way that we see the world. I think it's very, very easy to get sucked into that whirlpool of darkness and pain. And I know I've fallen into that many times. I probably spent the last half a decade in that zone where it was very, very hard for me to see the positives in a lot of things. So I'm learning now to have that counterbalance of I can take that pain and counterbalance it with the beauty in the world. And I feel like that is making me a more well-rounded person. And I'm still working on that. I'm still figuring it out. But it's this idea of nothing exists in a vacuum. Nothing exists as a sole entity. There is always a counterbalance to that point of view. You want to find that counterbalance to your point of view, if you can. Doesn't mean that the counterbalance to your point of view is right. It doesn't mean that. But knowing that it exists benefits you, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if that does make sense. I know this particular video probably sounds a little bit rambly, and I'm still fleshing out these ideas. But, you know, this is a place for you and I to have kind of a conversation, a casual chat, if you will. I try not to edit these as much as possible because I think by having these conversations like this, we can now have a, you know, a dialogue in the comments or wherever it might be. And I think that's really beautiful. You know, you are the counterbalance to me. I'm not just speaking into the void. I know that there are other people on the other side of this camera, on the other side of this screen. And I'm interested in knowing your point of view. How do you, you know, think about the idea of counterbalance? Do you even think about it at all? Like, how is it that you function in the world? Please let me know. I so appreciate the fact that you take your time to watch these videos, and even when I'm rambling a little bit, even when it's scripted a little bit, like, it depends on the video what I'm going to do. You know, it's just usually what comes up during the week when I'm talking to other creatives, when I'm talking to my family, when I'm talking to my friends. It's like, something comes up and I go, the world needs to hear about this point of view. You know, I'm probably going to have 3 or 4 second thoughts, third thoughts, fourth thoughts, fifth thoughts, whatever you want to call them, about uploading this video, but I'm going to do it anyway because that's who I am. I know the last video, I don't know if it's the video itself or the topics that I'm covering, but I lost quite a handful of subscribers, and I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not for everybody, and not every single topic is going to make people feel very comfortable, and I'm only one person with one point of view. So, you know, I'm just gonna be me with all of this. Anyways, so I think I've rambled on long enough about this topic, and I only gave a couple of examples, but I think that the idea is there. I'd love for you to explore on your own and explore your own thoughts and feelings about it. And then if you have more questions, please let me know in the comments below if you want me to revisit this topic, and maybe in a couple of months I will, once I've had more time to really solidify my thoughts about it. Please let me know what topics you would like me to cover in the future. We are only 11 episodes into this. Essentially, we're 13 weeks, because I think I took 2 weeks off. We're 13 weeks into this series, and I'm going to keep it going until I run out of thoughts and ideas. Next week in episode 12, I believe I'm going to talk about the things that I wish I had known before I went into art school and the things that I learned after getting out of art school. So if that's something that's really interesting to you, let me know in the comments below if you have any specific questions about that. And if not, I'm just going to go with what I've learned. So there's that. And then if you would like to watch some of the other stuff that I've been doing live streams on fashion illustration over on Twitch. You've probably seen me repost the lives here on YouTube after they've happened. So if you want to catch them live and interact with me and chat with me, go to twitch.tv/BenjaminCollin. I will put a link in the description box below. And then please don't forget to follow me over on Instagram at BenjaminCollin, and as well as on Facebook, Benjamin Collin, or Benjamin Crudwig Creative Arts. Those are 2 places that you can find me, and we can talk there, we can reach out, whatever, however you want to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and get to editing this. Again, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe on this video and on my channel, and I will talk to you all next Friday. Bye.